Dr. Harley Sawyer is not the main villain of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. While he does look menacing, his motive is not to stop us, rather he needs our help. The true villain is still lurking deep within Playtime Co.'s darkest shadows. So let's dig ourselves a little deeper into Playtime Co.'s factory and see if we can't uncover what's really going on. With the release of the Doctor cinematic trailer, we finally got the reveal of Harley Sawyer himself, and I must say, the video was incredible. It's eerie, gruesome, and downright creepy. Mob Entertainment really wasn't lying about this being the darkest chapter yet. It shows off operation shots, patient areas, and has a heavy emphasis on blood. If this is what they're showing in the trailer, I can only imagine what will be shown in the game. Now, throughout this trailer, we see shots of servers being turned on, all while the camera pans up to reveal Harley standing in front of a ton of monitors as his eye flickers on. This confirms that Dr. Harley Sawyer is a robot, or whatever you want to call it. His consciousness lives within the computer database of Playtime Co., hence the servers. Because of this, he has been able to control and see through every single camera in the facility, which explains how he's been watching us this entire time. Harley Sawyer is the actual eye. Now, this leads to a ton of questions, but I think the biggest is how and why. How was this possible, and why did this happen to him? Well, these two questions will likely be answered in the next chapter. But if we look a little deeper into the actual trailer, we actually get an idea of how the chapter might go. While there was a heavy emphasis on blood and gore, there was also a heavy emphasis on Harley and the message he was trying to convey. Throughout the trailer, we kept seeing text in front of a white screen with smaller red text behind it. Altogether, this text reads, "Bigger bodies, my creations, no body. I am broken, different. Somewhere, strong, nowhere, and yet everywhere. I am no man." This of course is Harley explaining how he is no man, yet he is everywhere. But behind the center text is, like I said, the smaller red text that I think is very important. They will understand, I have always been right. For some reason, this line stands out to me the most. Yes, there are a bunch of other lines of text, and I think each has their own meaning. For example, I will fix when no one could. Flesh and bone, a broken world. I interpret this as Harley justifying the bigger body's creations. He was fixing a problem. Flesh and bone left a broken world. So with the bigger bodies, he fixed it by creating immortality. But they will understand I have always been right. This stands out because it's hinting at a motive for what Harley is doing. What exactly is he doing, and what has he always been right about? So let's answer these questions, because I think the answers tie into how Harley might not be the villain. To answer these questions, we need to take a look at Harley's past. Now, leading up to Chapter 4, there wasn't much information about his character. However, the ARG was more or less centered around him. He was the main focus. We learned that Harley was accepted into Elliot Ludwig's Young Geniuses program, a program for the smartest young minds around. This program would allow them to experiment and learn how to push the boundaries of science. Harley was extremely smart, perhaps even one of the brightest minds in the program, although he had a problem, and this problem would get him removed from the program entirely. As said by Elliot himself, Harley lacked humility. He ended up lashing out at Elliot, calling him soft, mentioning how progress doesn't care for how anyone feels about it. So this frightened Elliot, as scientific progress should always be to the benefit of humanity, meaning progress does care for how anyone feels about it. Therefore, Elliot removed him from the program, as Harley seemed to be doing unethical practices in order to progress science. This likely angered Harley. All he really cared about was this program. This was hinted at from a note by Elliot mentioning Harley doesn't miss home. But this wouldn't be the only hint that Harley might have a grudge against Elliot. Within the ARG was another note reading, "Elliot Ludwig is a soft, pathetic, small-minded backstabber. Nothing more." This is not confirmed, but it's highly suggested that these notes are from Harley. So now we know that Harley was removed from the Young Genius program, and you could assume that this would cause him to harbor hate towards Elliot. Now, the word backstabber was important there. This is not the only time we will see or hear this word again. In the new trailer, we hear Harley as he wakes up confused. His head feels weird and everything seems wrong. But then he says this.
"You backstabbing traitors. You have no idea what kind of mistake you just made. The minds of men are easy to break. You believed my could be broken too. You were wrong.
You backstabbing traitors, you have no idea what kind of mistake you just made. The minds of man are easy to break. You believed mine could be broken too. You were wrong. Backstabbing. There it is again. So I feel comfortable assuming that the person who wrote this note was in fact Harley. He used the same term twice. And not to mention the word soft was used by him twice as well. If you haven't noticed already, there is a theme developing here. A theme of betrayal. Someone betrayed Harley. Who could that be? Well, the people responsible for what he is. Playtime Co. Remember Catnap's check-in with Leith Pierre in chapter 3? How Leith mentions Harley is out?
How you doing, bud? Normally I'd have Dr. Sawyer do this, but he's, out, let's say. So you got me until they find his replacement.
This is likely around the same time when Playtime Co. experimented on Harley, proving that they had something to do with what happened to him. It seems the company betrayed Harley for some reason. The minds of man are easy to break. You believed mine could be broken too. You were wrong. Meaning Playtime Co. turned Harley into the monster he is today. They turned him into this all-seeing eye. My guess is, after the theater incident, the other Playtime Co. higher-ups were fed up with Harley.
What half-wit, soon-to-be dead man made this mistake?
Dr. Harley Sawyer.
So they decided to quite literally give him a taste of his own medicine, to experiment on him, to try and break his mind. Remember, most of the other experiments forget who they are. But Harley didn't. Harley forgot nothing. Rather, his experiment made him stronger. It gave him immortality. So what am I getting at here? How does any of this mean Harley is not the villain? Well, let's lay everything out. Harley despises Elliot. He is forced to leave, but then gets hired back after Elliot's passing. Harley eventually causes problems and Playtime Co. turns him into a monster. Yes, that's super vague, but obviously we don't know all the details yet. Now, 10 years later, Harley is left confined inside the walls of Playtime Co. He is immortal, but he can't leave. Although Harley is not alone, other toys are still alive as well as someone else. Another experiment that is not a toy, the prototype. It is heavily theorized that the prototype is actually Elliot Ludwig, meaning for this theory to be correct, another theory would also have to be correct. Okay, trust me, this is going to make sense. Harley has been locked away underneath Playtime Co. for the past 10 years with someone he hates. The prototype, rather Elliot Ludwig. So after the Hour of Joy, Harley was forced deep underground and had to coincide with the person he hates the most, all while watching him become stronger and stronger with each new toy. But when the player arrives, this piques Harley's interest. An intruder, as he says himself. He watches as the player ventures deeper and deeper into the factory, taking out any toys that pose a threat. So I think Harley has an idea. Use the player to help take down the prototype. This would surely allow him to get revenge. Does this sound familiar? Poppy wants us to take down the prototype as well. I mean, why would both Harley and Poppy want the same thing? Well, they don't. You see, I don't think Poppy is as sweet as she has led us to believe. While Poppy is telling us to take down the prototype, she is also getting us to take out any and all other toys. This helps the prototype. Her father becomes stronger. So why not convince the player to get rid of Harley as well, only to backstab us at the very last moment. There it is again. The theme of betrayal. After the player encounters Harley, he is going to convince us to help him and not Poppy. After all, thanks to the ARG, Harley did tell us that her path leads to ruin. The player is going to help Harley take down the true villain of Playtime Co., the prototype, aka Elliot Ludwig, the man that started everything. Elliot is not a good man. He is not the caring person everyone makes him out to be. Even after all these years, while both men are no longer human, Harley still wants to expose Elliot for what he truly is. This is what Harley has always been right about. Elliot is not a good man. Do you guys think Harley is going to be the true villain of this chapter? Please keep in mind that this is just a theory and I could be completely wrong, and I'm totally okay with that. It's just fun to theorize. I do agree that there is an argument to be made that Elliot was actually a good person, but only time will tell if that's true. Since we have seen nothing about the prototype, I think it's pretty obvious that he will be the big bad of chapter 5, not this chapter, so maybe this theory bleeds into chapter 5. However, what I think makes this theory possible is, how many chapters are we going to fight off a toy to go deeper into the factory? Huggy, Mommy Longlegs, then Catnap. We take them out and then we go down. Something has to change, at least I hope it does. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, I just made a Discord server, so if you want to chat with me, I recommend joining. And if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifiedT. Thanks for watching.